Hi, how are you doing today? Anyway, a few nights ago I had a lesson with a student, and he was doing a piano lesson working on this piece. It's a Bach three-part Invention in G minor. And um, we got into talking about how to make it an expressive piece of music. And on the piano, you have dynamics, and you can even use a little bit of pedaling, which, if you watch very closely when Glenn Gould plays Bach on the CBC videos, which are fantastic, you can see he actually uses it very, very subtly because you can see all the dampers going up and down, but it's in such a subtle way that you don't hear it. It's not like actually when a lot of people play using the pedals, and even doing Bach, it's like all smeary. So anyhow, but on the harpsichord, you don't have that. You don't have the dynamics and so forth. The obvious ones, anyways. And all you're left with is rhythm. So anyway, this piece is a very, very gorgeous piece. It's often played a lot faster, but I find it has a very elegant and sort of floaty quality when you played it at the tempo that I just performed it at. And what's really unusual about this piece is that usually in a piece of music you have a meter, and this is a triple meter, so it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and there's sort of this momentum that just sort of rolls forward gently. And but what's interesting in this particular piece is that all the third beats are basically emphasized for the most part throughout the piece, and so it's sort of like it's like a feather, and actually on the third beat, instead of it sort of just moving sort of quickly into the next beat, there's I think sort of just haunting lilt behind it, of sort of having it kind of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, where you kind of like the feather gets caught by a little updraft, and then it falls onto the downbeat. And anyhow, I just thought I would play that as an example. It's also a very gorgeous piece, and I thought I would give it a spin on the harpsichord. There was one note I didn't like. I slipped on, but anyway, I think that I'm pretty happy with that, except for the one note. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed that, and maybe learned a little bit about Bach and different approaches. There's a tendency before Trevor Pinnock to to lengthen the downbeat as a way of being expressive, to bring out the strong beats, the downbeats. But Trevor Pinnock came along, and this really made this much more elegant solution of basically going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, where you take a breath before the downbeat. And this piece really, really wants that, I think. And the other style of playing was prevalent, and you still hear people do it. And an example of it would be basically here towards the end of the piece, where it goes. Where it's like da 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 da, and it's kind of like, sounds like you're trying to turn the car engine over, and it's never quite getting there. There are places where that's very, very appropriate and elegant and beautiful to do that, but it just became sort of locked in as the style of playing early music for probably the first 20 years. And anyway, in the Trevor Pinnock and the English concert came along, and him and the core players, Simon Standage and Stephen Preston, they were the first part of the English concert. They started as a group, a trio, and then from there it turned into the Extraordinary Orchestra. And anyhow, and when you listen to their playing, you'll notice there's this different approach happening, and it's very beautiful, and I think very effective. And it also works very good in fast music as well as in slow music. I mean, every particular phrase is slightly different and so forth. You can't do it the same all the time, but this I think works really very, very nicely in general. So if you listen very, very closely, you'll notice that there's these what are called agogic accents, and one way to make the downbeat strong emphasized is actually not by holding it longer, but by putting a little slice of breath before you hear it. Anyway, he was one of my most influential teachers, along with Tony Newman, and I really just, for me, it just works wonderfully. And anyways, I'm talking too much, so I just thought I'd share that with you all tonight. Okay, music lesson over. Die Unterricht ist kaputt. Okay, good night. Happy Pride. Bye bye.